Hello everyone, this is Shannon from That's So Po, and today I'm doing week 32 of my 2023 reads. This week I finished two books that were both super sweet, so I can't wait to tell you about them. Timestamps and content warnings are in the description box below. First, I finished Four Weddings to Fall in Love by Jackie Lau. This is a new release contemporary romance that is the beginning in a new romance series. This follows Kim and Max. Kim is somebody who really is very sexually adventurous. She loves sex, but she does not like relationships. She's really found that in the past there is so much about being in a relationship that stifles who she is as a person, and she's just felt very much like eschewing relationships has led to a lot of freedom and wonderful things in her life. But she ends up meeting Max, and Max is a total opposite from her. So this is an opposites attract type of romance. He is, very by the book and very kind of serious and stern and all of these sorts of things, and he likes to do things properly. But they meet at a friend's wedding, and they have a one-night affair that doesn't necessarily go so well, except then they keep meeting because they have other people that are getting married that they have in common in their life, and they can't quite help the attraction that they feel with each other. And Max really wants to pursue Kim, especially for a relationship, and she's just not so sure about that. And so it's about them going to these four weddings over the course of just a few months, being sort of thrown together, and trying to figure out if they can have a relationship or if it's just sex or what it is. This book is definitely on the steamier side. I wouldn't say that it's like pure erotica or anything like that, but it definitely has a lot of very steamy scenes. But it also has a really sweet romance. I think Max is such a cinnamon roll hero. He is somebody who's just so earnest and really wants to be in a relationship, really wants to be a good partner. He's very supportive, very kind, and Kim is such a fun character. She's just out there and very bold, and I think that there's something about her boldness that also makes Max feel more secure as well. And so their relationship, their dynamic is really fun. I thought that this book was just such a really great ride. There's also a lot about family dynamics in here, especially because, Kim has had some bad interactions with her own family as well as with past boyfriends' families, and so just trying to figure out what does healthy family dynamics look like. So there's a lot of that, which is very typically Jackie Lau. There's a little bit more kind of anxiety in this book than I like, though, just because Kim is very uncertain about being in a relationship, and I think that the tension of that is actually drawn out really well over the story, but I like my stories with a little bit less tension. So I think that that's just a personal taste thing. But other than that, I thought this book was just so sweet and just such a great romance. I'm always looking forward to when Jackie Lau publishes new things. And since this is the beginning of a new self-published series, I'm hoping that we will get a lot of those books pretty soon. So I'm very excited. And this one I gave 4.5 out of 5 stars. The other book I read this week was The Princess and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich by Deya Muniz. So this is a graphic novel that I heard about from Becca at Read Becca, who I will link below. Becca always has the best recommendations. And this is also a pretty new release. It is a very interesting kind of queer love story. So it is set sort of in the modern day, but sort of in a historical time period. Like there's a very interesting mixture where things like, video games exist, but everybody's dressed up in these historical outfits, and also the social mores match something of, a historical time period. And we basically follow, everybody in this has cheese names, by the way. We follow Count Camembert, and she's somebody who grew up as a girl, but when her father died, the only way to inherit the estate was to pretend to be a boy and to then take on life living as a man, living as the Count Camembert. And she goes to the big city to kind of get away from the people who might have known her when she was growing up, and wants to live a quiet life, except that she can't help herself. She gets really bored, and she ends up being in the princess of the land's circles. The princess is somebody who is just really passionate about a lot of social issues, and Camembert very much falls in love with Princess Brie, and they hang out all the time, and they're just part of a wonderful friend group who are obsessed with fashion. There is so much love of fashion in this, and the outfits in this are just so fantastic, as is the illustration style. I loved the illustration style in this so much. It was absolutely gorgeous. I loved all of the outfits and just the way that it was drawn, the colors. I mean, this is a visually incredibly appealing book, full color, all of it. It's just so lovely. I also thought that the romance between Camembert and Brie was super sweet, but the second half does have quite a lot of drama, because it's sort of both of them have crushes on each other, but they don't know what to do. And then there's this kind of the secret between them about Camembert, pretending to be a man, but actually, not being man, and how does that work out with the laws of the land and all these sorts of things. And so there's just so much in this second half, especially, that's a lot of drama, which is too much for me, but it was still such a sweet love story, and I adored the art style so much. I really could just keep looking at the images. They were lovely. And it had like a really nice ending and a really nice way that it kind of wrapped up, and a lot of these political messages. So yeah, this was a super fun graphic novel, and just the artwork alone was just top notch. So I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, that's everything that I read this week. If you guys have read either of these, or if you are interested in them, if you have any thoughts, you want to give me any recommendations, or if you read anything interesting this week, I'd love to hear from you. Just leave me a comment down below.